A core tenet of America's AI Action Plan is access to and the export of the American technology stack. And one of the leaders and contributors to the American technology stack is the chip makers, and AMD core among them. Delighted to say that AMD CEO Lisa Su is with us in Washington, DC. It's a good place to start. We've both read the 23-page document, the AI Action Plan, an emphasis on deregulation, cutting red tape, on energy. But for you, what is the core principle in it that you think is most important for American AI?
Yeah, first of all, it's great to be here, Ed. I think it's a very, very important day for the country. I think the AI Action Plan is actually extremely well done. If you think about the core tenet, you start with AI is the most transformational technology of our lifetimes. And then you extend that to the US should absolutely lead in this area. I think this AI Action Plan is really a call for all of us to come together between public sector, private sector, bringing our best technologies, bringing our best ideas, open ecosystems, and to come together and really solve some of the most important challenges in the world. So yeah, I think it's a great day. It's great to be here with so many people from different parts of the AI ecosystem. And we're enjoying it.
As you know, Lisa, sometimes I like to get a little bit in the details. And so when I think, for example, about MI 300X, energy and efficiency, and when I was reading through the policy document, energy is clearly a consideration here. Was that something that you and AMD were concerned about? As all of this infrastructure gets built out with your technology underpinning it, what was the anxiety level about, well, we're not going to be able to power all of these things?
It's a great point, Ed. I think what we see is, computing is the foundation. So high performance computing is the foundation to unlock all of this AI potential. We want to make sure there's enough power for all the chips that we're building. And more than that, we want to make sure that, the US is actually leading that race. And so we're very focused, as you know, Ed, on energy efficiency. Like, we want our chips to be the most energy efficient chips. That being the case, the demand is so high for computing that we need to ensure that the power is available. And so all of the conversation about how do we accelerate the building of data centers and power capability in the country, I think is very, very welcome.
There's an element of exporting the American technology stack. The biggest piece of news, of course, in the recent weeks has been the ability to sell some semiconductors back into China. But when you read the AI Action Plan, do you get a sense that there's a next step to that? I'm not necessarily talking about a replacement for the diffusion rule, but it seems as if the policy is that it's good for America to export its technology to the world, even to economic adversaries, for want of a better expression.
I think it's a super important point. And the point is, computing is a matter of national security, but it's also important from an economic standpoint and an overall ecosystem standpoint. So it's all about a balance. And the balance is, we certainly want to ensure that we're using our technology to make America stronger, but we also want the rest of the world developing on our technologies. And so this is the balance. It's a tricky dribble, by the way. I will be the first to say it's a tricky dribble, but I think the administration has been doing a good job, just working with us in industry and also ensuring that we understand all of the constraints. And we welcome the fact that we want the rest of the world using American technology, and we welcome all the conversations and dialogue in those areas.
You acknowledged that onshoring some components or several components is great, but supply chains are global and complex, and that much of the supply chain will stay global. Does the administration understand that point? Do you feel a pressure to explain it a little bit?
Well, I think semiconductors in general are complicated,
yes.
So we always feel the importance of explaining. But I do believe that there are folks in the administration who are very, very well versed in the complexities of the semiconductor supply chain, whether you're talking about the Commerce Department or OSTP or just the entire infrastructure. And the key is, I think the push for onshore manufacturing is a great thing. Like, we want to have our the capabilities onshore for U.S. needs, but we just have to also recognize, the world's a big place, and there are a lot of resources, especially if you think about our allied countries, that we want to leverage, and ensuring that whatever our policies are, they also cover our allies, I think, is a key piece of this. And now that semiconductors and the entire supply chain are, let's call it, front of mind, I think that's a great thing.
You have some activity in Arizona with TSMC, and what I wanted to ask about that was, is Is anything in this AI action plan sort of near term going to accelerate that activity? Does it unlock anything for what you're able to do out of Arizona and those TSMC facilities?
Well, I think the great thing right now about Arizona is, number one, we have existence proof that you can get extremely complex, advanced chips done in the U.S. So that's fantastic. We're going to start the production. And now the idea is, how can we move more faster? I think the AI action plan absolutely helps this notion of bringing up the resources that are necessary, whether it's regulatory or power or just ensuring that there's a view that this is a priority. And if it's a priority for the administration, it'll be a priority for the industry, and it kind of coalesces all of the aspects that are necessary. So it's still hard work. I don't want to say that we can do this quickly. It's still multi-years.
But you will move some chips from Arizona this year, I think you said.
Absolutely. We're going to start manufacturing this year, and we're going to add to it as we go forward. One
of the things you addressed on stage was the idea of the relative price comparison for a semiconductor made here in the United States versus abroad. There is a marginal degree of greater expense. I think you said it was less than 20%, more than 5%, somewhere high double digits. But if you are building the broader high-performance compute system in the United States, does it matter? I mean, how do you approach the sort of economics of it? I think the economics of it are, we have to consider the just resiliency in the supply chain. I think we learned that, frankly, Ed, from the pandemic. The idea that you think about your supply chains not just by the lowest cost, but also about reliability, about resiliency, and all those things. I think that's how we're thinking about U.S. manufacturing. And yes, it will be a little bit more expensive. Frankly, some of the work that has been done to encourage semiconductor investment has been helpful. But when you really average it across everything else that you need to build this computing infrastructure, I think it's a very good investment for us to make to assure that we have American manufacturing and resiliency. The AI action plan will be followed by action, one imagines, executive orders from the president and other pieces of specific policy. What is left to do, to your mind? What is it actually that needs to be enacted, either from a supply chain point of view or your ability to sell your technologies around the world? Well, what I really like about the AI action plan is I actually believe it's quite actionable. So there are lots of things in there where when we look at it, it's a perfect blueprint for public-private partnership. And we're going to be active with the administration to try to help shape some of those conversations about what should be exported, what an open ecosystem looks like, how do we ensure that AI for science is front of mind. We're very active with the Department of Energy on the entire national lab infrastructure, which can really help accelerate AI in the country. So yeah, we're ready to go. I mean, this is a fun and exciting time where there's really a marriage between sort of technology policy and then what we can do to really influence it and accelerate it. Live in Washington, D.C. with AMD CEO Lisa Su, covering everything in the AI action plan, and AMD, one of the great leaders in American technology that's being appealed to, I suppose, by the president to take some action. And of course, we'll hear from AMD and the rest of the chip sector in the weeks to come as they go through their earnings.